joining me. I said we would this week, and we are going this week to take a look at the first Volume 1, 1983 to 1984, first volume in the Encyclopaedia Warhammica, my rebound collection of Warhammer stuff. This volume is entitled, if you can see that, probably out of focus by the time it gets up here, this is entitled Warhammer, as a play on Warhammer, of course. And the image on the front cover here is part of the map of the Red Wake River Valley that we will look at later on in this volume. And the reason for that, Warhammer and the Red Wake River Valley, is that this is really pre the existence of the Warhammer world. Warhammer has just emerged. It's not it's not sprung from nowhere. It's come from Reaper, the early wargames set, and a bunch of historical wargames, historical wargaming context, designed to let you play out miniature-based RPG, so D&D essentially, encounters on the tabletop using slightly bigger forces on either side, but not huge forces, although, as we'll see, some huge forces were envisaged. And all of the Warhammer lore and stuff is not really in place, although there are some elements throughout that we will probably see. Most of these books I have given poster covers from the Josh Kirby poster collection. I thought these were really nice, so I thought I would use these. Most of them are Discworld, of course, but this is not. This is Truckers and Strata, two non-Discworld Terry Pratchett books. Here is the very start, Warhammer Book 1. And some things are familiar, some things are unfamiliar. So if we start off with the turn sequence, you've got movement phase, then comes shooting, then comes combat, then comes second movement, magic phase, rout phase. So fairly recognisable from most of the following editions of Warhammer, but movement phase, the active player moves. Shooting phase, all players shoot. So everyone with missile weapons who can shoot, shoot. Everyone who's in combat fights rather. The active player makes his reserve moves. The active player uses magic, and then all units, both players or all players, units that are routing, are moved and then roll to see if they recover. So theoretically you can recover your routing troops in your opponent's turn and use them in your turn, but obviously everything is routing a lot faster, so it's got far more chance of being off the table. Standard movement rates per race that have not really changed very much. Penalties for moving across obstacles and difficult ground. Countercharging is a thing in first edition, so if you are charged as an option, instead of standing and receiving or standing and shooting or running away, you can also countercharge. Infantry are not allowed to countercharge mounted troops, but otherwise, if you're being charged at, you can run back in return and meet midway, which moves you further onto the table. So if you're then routing more, you've got more of a chance of staying on the table, I guess. Here's some frontage changes and wheeling and things that of course are going to become a big thing in third edition. Psychology is fairly similar, except that note things like fear and terror are just a rolled result. There's no leadership test in here, and in fact when we get on to characteristics, where are the characteristics? Maybe we've gone past them already. Anyway, when we look at the characteristics of a character, you'll see there aren't any leadership values. So morale checks are triggered when something happens, and modified on a d6 as followed, and then the result is what they do. Shooting. Characters have a bow skill, not a ballistic skill in this case, but a bow skill, still BS. And ranges, not significantly different, short ranges, long ranges, and an attack strength. Your bow skill level here is actually given a description: inexperienced, poor, normal, proficient, adult, adept, skillful, accomplished, expert, master, and master again, because I guess they couldn't think of anything more, and the modifier score needed to hit on a d6 there, with the modifiers for large targets, moving targets, wounded, troops in skirmish order, behind soft cover, throwing an improvised weapon, firing at long range, and being behind cover. And you're comparing the attack strength, the weapons strength, against the toughness grade, which in first edition is given as a letter rather than a number. And you can see that if they're even, it's a 4 required to kill. You've got automatic kills, and you've got, if you are just strength 1 against toughness F, there's a no chance there of hitting. Otherwise, if you are even, or in the first two categories, 1 stronger, it's a 4 to hit, and then it moves on down the column. And there's no real consistency here. I guess later on you can see very clear bands of numbers, but here they've sort of tried to give it a bit more of a graded increments of success. So having a stronger weapon is obviously always better, but sometimes it's better than in other cases. Saving throws are very much the same. You've got those categories: shield or chainmail, shield plus chainmail, plate armour plus shield, or mythic armour we've got in first edition as well. Bonuses for being mounted and for having barding. Here's the weapon skill comparison. So again, if they're equal, in this case it is a 5 to hit, and then it goes down 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So in this case, if you've got even weapon skill, you're requiring a 5 or a 6 to hit your opponent if you haven't got any modifiers. Combat in first edition takes a long time. Things really do get bogged down. You need things that can break combat, and being pushed back is a big deal. If you get pushed back a number of times, then you automatically break, rather than inflicting necessarily huge amounts of casualties in order to force that break. And then the strength versus toughness is the same as the shooting one, so is the saving throw stuff. And then in this case you get plus initiative bonus for charging. You get +1 to kill if you've got heavy cutting or crushing weapons, or you're an armed monster with a strength of 4 or more. You get initiative for having longer weapons. You get initiative and to hit bonuses if you've got light weapons. And it doesn't specify exactly what kind of weapon that is, so you can interpret that, I guess, as you wish. Here's the number of rounds that they route automatically. If you're orcs and goblins, you route after 2 rounds of being pushed back. Trolls the same. Elves take 4 rounds. Dwarves are stalwart. They can be pushed back for 5 rounds before they break and run away. And then there's a brief discussion about the makeup of regiments, base sizes and things. A bit about dungeons. largely darkness and doors, flying rules in a page, and then we get to the Ziggurat of Doom, that classic scenario, very much designed to introduce the basics. And here's a list of essential creatures, men and humanoid monsters, including Balrogs and Minotaurs, monsters, dragons, hippogriffs, wyverns, chimeras, treemen, eagles, giant frogs, serpent crawler, manticores, carnivorous birds, harpies, giant riding reptiles, giant insects, were-tiger, were-rat, werewolf, were-bear, were-undead, skeleton, zombie, lich, ghost, ghoul, wraith, white mummy, spectre. And then we get to book 2, which largely deals with magic. So in first edition you have a mastery level, and that tells you how many spells you can cast, and also how many, what level of spells you can learn and cast. Wizards have a constitution, which is magical stamina, and that's degraded as you cast more stuff, and that's really aimed at roleplay stuff. So it talks about number of days to recuperate your constitution. You're not looking at doing this necessarily within the course of a battle. They're envisaging a wizard character going from battle to battle over the course of a campaign, fighting these small encounters as part of a storyline. Wizards can fumble, and they can cast the spell on themselves or cast a wrong spell, use a random generator spell to select what is cast, or the spell could just have no effect at all. Here's your random spell generator. And here are our spells. So we've got Cure Light Injury is the Alarm, Blessing, Blessed Sword. Detect Hidden Doors is a very dungeony themed thing, but I guess you could use it if you've got a house or something as well. Detect Life, Far Sight, Gift of Tongues, Locks. These are all very much roleplay spells, so you'll have a storyline going on as your encounter goes on. This is how you might use those. Within level 2 you've got Aura of Fearsome Aspect, Aura of Protection, Aura of Steadfastness, Bloodlust, Curse of Repugnance, Cure Severe Wound, etc, etc. Turn to Frog, and level 3 spells: Banish Undead, Inspiration, Pentangle, Pillar of Light. Level 4 spells: Manipulate Time, Mind Control, Summon Balrog. Necromancy spells, and a list of ways that enchanted objects can appear and be used in games, along with some random generators for weapons and talismans. And we get to book 3, and this is about player characters. So this is very much looking at individual characters, individual heroes within the game, functioning distinctly and separate from the units that are going on. And here, in amongst this random occupation generator and social status generator and weapon skill, bow skill, toughness, intelligence generators, and character advancement stuff, you will see injury tables, possible quests, encounter charts. It's somewhere here, it's definitely here somewhere. Now, straight away go to the valley. Have we gone past it? We must have gone past it. Somewhere here there is a list of leadership stuff. definitely read it somewhere. Can't see it. No, it's in here somewhere. Anyway, this is where you get your stats, your leadership, your willpower, your cool. They're very much related to the roleplay stats of characters, and they modify the break rolls, route rolls, stupidity rolls, etc. Anything else that you're forced to do psychology-wise. Here we get the Red Wake River Valley, this example of an ongoing campaign. So this is very much an RPG storyline. It's about a bunch of characters trying to get to a certain place and do a certain thing. And along the way, at these places that are marked on here, they will have encounters with a selection of creatures. An evil wizard by the name of Salmon, who lives in this tower. For salmon, of course, not just salmon, but he's been up to no good, and the players will have to fight through his henchmen, fight up into his tower in order to do the thing that they need to do. And that is the content of the first edition Warhammer box. Then you get Forces of Fantasy, so the supplement pack, and this introduces things like regimental standards, regimental leaders, the function of musicians. They're very much bonuses. They're very much combat bonuses and leadership bonuses. There's not much in the way of movement still. There's very little manoeuvring in the game. And then a bunch of factions here. Men of the East, Men of the North, Men of the Orient, Men of the West, Dwarves, Gnomes, Halflings, Dark Elves, High Elves, Sea Elves, along with the specifics of these races, random generator tables for generating their stats, the kind of makeup of their battalions, any special psychology and so forth rules that apply to them. Giants is an interesting one. You've got true giants, small giants and giants, true giants being the big ones. And right from the start here, you've got the Stagger and Fall chart, the Fallen Giant template, and the idea of giants being drunken, giants and alcohol here. It's in there right from the very start. It doesn't change very much throughout. Goblins of various kinds, great goblins, and night goblins. Night goblins in this case are just small, diminutive, cave-dwelling goblins, but still here we've got night goblin fanatics are in here right from the word go. And red goblins and hobgoblins as well. Various different types of goblins. Lizardmen, Slann, Chaos, Undead, goodly hosts and marauding monsters. I'm not quite sure why they've decided to put them into those two categories, but there you go, they have. And that's book one. Book two, Fighting Fantasy Battles, talks very much about laying out your battlefield, generating objectives, playing with war machines. So here, yeah, you've got stone throwing engines. You guess your range, it bounces in a random number of inches in random directions with a big template. Some things don't change. Chariots, fire and things. Options for returning fire and fighting defensively if you're playing roleplay encounters with few characters. Special rules for mounted troops, for mercenaries, for building an army. Loads and loads and loads of shield and banner designs. Definitely I'm going to have to steal some of those, I think, in my Night Goblin army, for sure. Regiments of Renown. Bugman's Dwarf Rangers are here, Grom's Goblin Guard, Mengel Manhide's Company of Dark Elves, the Bowmen of Orion, Mad Muller Ackland's Death Commandos, Harbotham's Black Mountain Boys. These will be familiar names to a lot of people. Goldfags, Mercenary Ogres. Some more stuff about wizarding. And then some more stuff about wizarding in Volume 3. New magic items, magical treasures, bunch of magical monsters, swarms. Some more spells. New spells. Magic item random generation. Magical weapons. Power weapons. And as part of Forces of Fantasy, that came with the Book of Battalions. I've put it in a little bit later in the book here, because in between we've got some of the White Dwarf articles. So Thistlewood has its anniversary this year, I believe. Mike has been gathering together all of the original Joe Diva miniatures that feature in these images, and enough to play this whole scenario. I think we've played it previously, but it'd be good to run through it again with the actual models. Here's some more bits and pieces, some more monsters and things. Warhammer and science fiction, so blaster weapons. This is obviously pre Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader stuff, but here's how you put guns and things into your Warhammer Fantasy Battles. That's a hairdryer. The Legend of Kremlo the Slant, of course. Another very famous campaign. Vikings in Lustria. The Mark of Chaos, some early like Realm of Chaos stuff, random chaos attribute generation. Leaping Slom Two-Face. Giants, again more stuff on giant random attacks. Rig Shrine, another classic scenario for using, of course, those power weapons, those guns that are ancient technology weapons, as you can see here. Shrine of Rig stuff. And Thieves, and Minas Tirith, which we mentioned in a previous Decades of Dwarf article. I think this was actually for second edition rather than first, but it fits in quite well here. And this uses a lot of miniatures. There's a lot of models on the tabletop for this one. Anyway, here we are, back in Book of Battalions. So this was included with Forces of Fantasy. And this is a bunch of armies, or battalions as they are listed in the book, because an army is made up of a number of battalions. I think 3 is the common one, with a battalion being about 1,000 points. This part of the East Midlands, Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire. So I imagine when you look at those Games Day photos of the Glamers Guild games, these are probably the people who are coming up with these lists. The Goblins of Rug Longtooth. Barragin's Hogweed Avengers. Gloon's Trek. And I like that some of these armies are really close to 3,000 points. Others of these armies, like that one we just passed, this is 3,185 points. They clearly weren't concerned about whether stuff was actually exactly matched, exactly in line. They were going 3,000-ish, which is a really nice way of playing, of course. There's one in here. Trying to find where it is. The Tale of Sanyo Kawasaki. The Dwarves of Horrorwell. The Conjurations of the Insane Necromancer Colin. Who's yes, this one. So Battalion 1 is Colin the Insane Necromancer, and he's 1,000 points by himself. And Battalion 2 consists of Simon, a young necromancer with a thing about graveyards, and some skeletons and some more skeletons and some skeleton riders and some mummies. And Battalion 3 is Necromantic Nick. Colin picked up this character somewhere. He's a novice necromancer and just the sort of hard-working, clean-living boy to command an undead battalion. Zombies, skeletons, ghouls, wraiths, white spectres. But I love that a third of this army is Colin. Colin the necromancer. Yarn Country's Raiders, the clawed feet of Nickelberto. There's a Giants listing here. Let me try and find that one as well. Halflings. Ah, yes, here we are. Gloon's Trek Giants. So yes, you've got Gloon Wayfoot, the true giant, and Stunto Wayfoot, his younger brother. Between them are 1,256 points. Battalion 2, Rocklegs and Spindle Limbs, and the Arsjacks, Rotten Hides, Ditch Bottoms, Hang Like These 10 small giants. So 26 giants in that army. And then here's a look at how Citadel miniatures were sculpted and painted in the early days, and of course that has not changed significantly from my perspective anyway, has not changed significantly, but nice to have these hints and tips at painting early on, and the Spot the Balrog competition. Can you spot the Balrog? There we are. So let me put my marker back in there. That is the first volume, and summary on the back in case you want to use it to play the game. There we go. That is the first volume of many volumes, counting them offhand because I can see them: 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think we're up to about 18 volumes now. So this will keep us going for a little while. But this is volume 1. The smallest of all the volumes, so I'm going to have to hurry a bit more through the others. But I hope you've enjoyed this run through the very early days of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit notifications, and then you'll find out when the next instalment of the Encyclopaedia Warhammica appears. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you next week.